over the last few days and weeks that thinking about amending the Constitution has been a painful way to get up. But I'm comforted every morning and every night in knowing the fact that across all the lines that we normally use to describe people in this state, that people want to vote on the definition of marriage between a man and a woman. Political lines, generational lines, economic lines, racial lines, party lines, and I will say even business owner lines. Business owners want the certainty of knowing how marriage is going to be defined in North Carolina as they make their decisions. This is a very controversial issue. And what's before you and the vote before you is how we're going to define marriage. And the way we deal with controversial issues is that we vote on them. We've heard a lot over the last few minutes and few days about everyone trying to politicize this. I had dinner last Monday night with a senator who voted for this legislation from the Democratic Party in 1996, and I asked that gentleman, what was it like? He said, we had about 6 to 7 minutes of debate. The vote went up, and it was 41-4. The bill entitled Marriage Between a Man and a Woman came over in the House and passed 100-10. The fact is that no one is politicizing this. What we're trying to do is push the power away from our title, away from this chamber, away from this town, and back to the people of North Carolina. We're taking something that's currently in the statute book, and we're giving people an opportunity to put it in this book. You could hardly fill a dump truck with all the rules and all the laws and all the regulations and all the promulgations that people in these chambers have voted for. But yet the things that the citizens of North Carolina have had a chance to vote for, you can fit into the palm of your hand.
Mr. Speaker.
I do not yield.
The gentleman does not yield.
In the back of your North Carolina Constitution, the question is asked, what is a constitution? It is the form of government delineated by the mighty hand of the people. The people. We've heard a lot this morning and all through the last several weeks and months about relationships. Relationships that people have with other people. Relationships that you may have with your church. Relationships that you may have with your governor or your president or your political party or with members of your own family or friends in your community. But this vote today is about the relationship that you have with the people who put you here. You are a representative, and the root word of representative is to represent. When all of us were sworn in, just like Representative Sain was earlier, we were asked to put our left hand on the Bible and raise our right hand to uphold the Constitution and to represent the people who elected us into these positions. For the people who are opposed to this legislation, I would offer this. And I would offer this because it's the exact same way I operated when I was in the minority. When you're in the minority party in this chamber, I think you have an obligation to do everything it takes and then some to represent the people of your district. Not as little as it takes. When we talk about the benefits, we all know that New York is the only state that currently allows same-sex marriage. And I want you to listen real closely. The University of Rochester just sent out a press release and said that the previous policy that they had in place to allow health care benefits to civil unions and same-sex couples would no longer be honored. I want to repeat that. The rights of the employees of the University of Rochester who are currently receiving medical benefits based on the policy they had in place that allowed those policies to be shared in same-sex couple relationships, they will no longer offer that unless the people get married, because they saw a double standard when you require one thing of one group and something else of another. As we think about the differences as we go forward, we all have had an interest in this, but now it comes down to a commitment. And that commitment is, are we going to let people have control of their Constitution the same way as it was stated in 1795? The Constitution is certain and fixed. It is the form of government delineated by the mighty hand of the people in which certain first principles and fundamental laws are established. We've learned over the last few days and weeks how fragile our political system is. We've also learned what kinds of things can be done and said to keep a piece of legislation from coming up. But today, history is going to talk about the strength of this chamber, the strength of our willingness to realize that some decisions are simply bigger than we are, and they belong to the people of North Carolina. This issue has many natural political homes, as I stated earlier. It has a political home in all of our political parties, in all of our churches, and in all of our families and our communities. But at the end of the day, there will be no rights taken away from businesses. Businesses will still have the right to do what businesses do, which is to produce products that people want to buy so they can return an investment for the people who own those businesses and the employees that work there. But at the end of the day, it really simply comes down to this. The way that we settle controversial issues is to vote. I urge you to vote green. If the government is going to sanction marriage, as it does by determining what type of person can marry individuals, where you have to go to get your marriage license, how our real estate laws are sanctioned, how our tax laws are sanctioned, how our state laws are sanctioned, if government is going to sanction marriage, then it needs to protect it. All these other issues that Representative Ross and Representative Glazier and others brought up, there are 120 votes on this floor in any area of domestic violence to keep people from beating up on each other regardless of why they do it. There's 120 votes on this floor to protect people who have an issue with anything that reduces or allows them to make decisions on behalf of anyone else. I ask you as you go forward, and it says in Hebrews that what was true yesterday is true today and will be true tomorrow. And that's why I ask you to vote green for this amendment.